1. Introduction. My name is Blossom. It was my wedding day. I put on my dress. It was a beautiful red dress. My mother helped me. She said it was perfect for a bride. I looked at myself in the mirror. My hair was nice. My face was calm, but inside I felt empty. I did not smile. How could I? I was getting married today, but I did not know the man. His name was Jay. I would meet him for the first time at the place where we would get married. I walked slowly with my father. Many people were watching. They were our families and friends. I saw the end of the room. There was a man standing there. This was Jay, my future husband. He wore a dark suit. It was probably black. He looked serious. His face was handsome, but there was no smile. He looked cold like me. We stood next to each other. We did not speak. We did not look at each other for long. Our parents were close by. They looked very happy. They smiled a lot. They thought this was a wonderful day. Maybe they thought we were happy too, but we were not. There was no happiness in our eyes. There was no warm feeling between us. We felt like two people forced to stand together. We were strangers. The person who would marry us began to talk. He spoke about marriage, about love, about a future together. His words sounded nice, but they did not feel true for us. Then it was time for us to make our promises. My voice was very quiet when I spoke. His voice was also quiet. We said the words. We promised things. But there was no emotion in our voices. It felt like reading words from a paper. We exchanged rings. The rings were new and bright. They felt heavy on my finger, a sign of something new but not something happy. The ceremony ended. People clapped their hands. It was finished. We were married. Blossom and Jay, husband and wife, but we were still strangers. We did not touch. We did not share a happy look. Our parents were smiling and happy. They did not seem to see the quietness between us. They did not see the coldness. This was the start of our life together. It started without a smile, without a warm look, and without love. It was just two people standing silently, doing what they were told. It was a wedding day, but it felt like something else. It felt like the first step into a strange, quiet future. It did not feel like my choice. It did not feel like my day. 2. A new home. After the wedding day, we left my hometown. We traveled to the city. Jay had an apartment there. This was our new place to live together. The apartment was very modern and big. It had nice furniture, but it felt cold. There were no pictures on the walls. There were no warm colors. It felt clean, maybe too clean. It did not feel like a home. It felt like a place where someone just slept and worked. It was Jay's apartment. I felt like a visitor there. On the first evening, I cooked dinner. I made a simple meal, something I knew how to cook well. We sat at the dining table. The table was big. We sat opposite each other. It was very quiet. We did not talk about our day or our feelings. We just ate the food. It felt strange. It felt awkward. Jay said, "Thank you," when we finished. I said, "You're welcome." That was almost the only conversation. We were two people eating in silence. Jay worked very hard. He was a businessman and his work was important. He left the apartment early in the morning. He often came back very late at night. Sometimes I saw him for only a short time. Sometimes I was already asleep when he returned. So I spent many hours alone in the apartment. The city outside was big and noisy, full of people. But inside the apartment, it was quiet and empty for me. I felt very lonely. We lived together, but we did not live together. We shared the same rooms, the same air, but we did not share our lives. We were like two strangers who happened to live in the same house. We did not know each other. We did not talk about our pasts or our hopes for the future. There was a wall between us. It was a strange and difficult situation. I often thought about my hometown. It was a small place, very different from the city. My family lived there. My friends were there. My whole life was there before the wedding. I missed my mother's cooking. I missed talking to my father. I missed the familiar streets where I grew up. I missed the feeling of belonging. The city felt big and unfriendly. This new apartment, my new home, felt empty and cold. I felt like I was lost in a new world, far from everything and everyone I loved. It was a sad time for me. 3. The rules. One day, Jay gave me a paper. He said, "These are the rules for the house." The paper had a list of things. There were many rules. Rules about what I could do and what I could not do. Rules about who could visit and when. Rules about keeping things private. I read the list slowly. My heart felt heavy. It was our home now, but the rules made me feel like a visitor. I felt like a guest in my own life. I had no freedom in this place. It was his apartment, and the rules were his rules. I was Blossom, the wife, but I felt like a stranger who just came to stay for a short time. One rule was very clear. I must not touch his personal things. His desk, his books, his papers. They were his and his alone. I must respect his privacy, the paper said. But one afternoon, I saw an old photo album on a shelf. It looked interesting. I felt a little curious about his past. I wanted to see pictures of his life before me. Maybe there was something warm in his history, something that was not cold like this apartment. I forgot the rule for a moment. I picked up the album and opened it. Just then, Jay came home. He saw me holding the book. His eyes looked very hard. His face became angry very fast. He walked quickly to me. "What are you doing?" he asked. His voice was loud. "Didn't you read the rules? This is mine. You must not touch my things." He took the album from my hands. I felt very small. I felt like a child who did something bad. My eyes started to fill with tears. I did not say anything. I just looked down at the floor. He looked at me for a moment, still angry. Then he walked away with the album. I went to the kitchen. I sat on a chair and tried not to cry loudly. But the tears came. I cried because he was so angry. I cried because I felt so alone in this big, silent apartment. The rules, his anger, the silence, it all made me feel like I was not wanted here. I was just someone following rules in a house that was not mine. That night, after our quiet dinner, Jay left the apartment. He did not say where he was going. He just put on his coat and walked out the door. He did not come back until the next morning. I stayed alone in the dark apartment, with the list of rules feeling like a wall between us. 4. A secret. After Jay left the apartment that night, I felt very alone and sad. I thought about everything. His rules, his coldness, the way he looked at me. I started to think maybe there was a reason for his behavior. Maybe he was not just a cold person. Maybe there was something else I needed to understand. I needed to know his secret. One day, I decided to follow him. He left the apartment building, and I waited a few minutes before I went out too. I walked behind him, staying far back so he could not see me. He walked quickly through the city streets. I followed him for a long time. He went to a part of the city I did not know well. He stopped near a big, tall building. It looked like a hotel. I stood across the street and watched. After a few minutes, a woman came to meet him. She was wearing a bright red dress. She smiled a lot. She looked happy to see him. My heart felt strange. She moved closer to him, and then she kissed his cheek. It was a simple kiss, but it felt like a knife in my heart. It hurt so much. So, this was his secret. He loved another woman. My husband, the man I married, loved someone else. I felt like crying right there on the street, but I did not. I turned around quickly and walked away. I took a bus back to the apartment. My legs felt weak and my head felt full of sad thoughts. When I got home, I tried to act normal. I went to the kitchen and started to cook dinner. I made his favorite food. I wanted everything to look the same, even though inside I felt completely different. My hands shook a little as I cut the vegetables. That night, Jay came home. We ate dinner in silence, like always. But tonight felt heavier. I looked at him across the table. He did not look at me. After we finished eating, I finally spoke. My voice was quiet. "Jay," I said. He looked up. His face showed nothing. Do you love someone else?" I asked the question I had been holding in my heart all day. He did not answer immediately. He just looked at me with those cold eyes. The silence felt very long. Then his voice was low and hard. "It is none of your business," he said. His words were like stones. They hit me hard. He did not say yes and he did not say no, but his answer was clear. It was his secret and I was not allowed to know it. I felt more alone than ever. 5, a new job. After that day, I felt different. I did not want to wait in the apartment anymore. I did not want to feel like a stranger in my own life. I decided I needed to do something. I needed to find my own way. I stopped cooking dinner every night. I stopped just being at home. I looked for work. I found a small bakery near the apartment. It smelled warm and sweet. I went inside and asked if they needed help. The owner was a kind woman. She said yes. I started working there the next day. It was a simple job, but I liked it very much. I learned to make different kinds of bread and cakes. I helped customers. I talked to people. For the first time in a long time, I felt useful. I felt happy. I smiled often. This feeling was new and good. The bakery was open 6 days a week. I worked 5 of those days. I left the apartment in the morning and came back in the evening. When I came home, I was tired but not sad. Jay noticed that I was not home all day. He also noticed that I did not make dinner for him anymore. One evening, he came home and I was reading a book. He looked at me. His face was cold as usual, but I saw a little surprise there. "Where were you?" he asked. His voice was quiet. "I was at work," I said. I closed my book. He looked more surprised. "Work? What work?" he asked. "At the bakery," I said. "I have a job now." He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Why, you don't need to work." I stood up. My heart was beating fast, but I was not afraid like before. "Because I want to," I said. "I want to do something. I want to feel like I am living, not just waiting." This was the first time I really spoke my mind to him. It was our first real argument, but I did not shout. I just spoke clearly. Jay looked at me for a long time. His eyes were not just cold anymore. I saw a different feeling. Maybe it was surprise, maybe something else. It was hard to tell, but it was not the usual empty look. I felt a little stronger standing there. 6. The truth. One evening, someone knocked on our door. I opened it, and the woman from the hotel stood there. Her name was Lana. She looked at me with a cold smile. She walked inside without asking. I felt surprised and didn't know what to do. She sat down on the sofa like it was her home. "You are Blossom, right?" she asked. I just nodded. My heart started beating fast. This was the woman I saw with Jay. Lana started talking. She said, "Jay was mine first. We were together for a long time." She looked around the apartment. "He loved me very much," she continued. "Your marriage is just a mistake. He still thinks about me." Her words were like cold water. I stood there, feeling small and confused. I remembered seeing her kiss his cheek. Was she telling the truth? Did Jay still love her? Just then, the door opened. Jay walked in. He stopped when he saw Lana sitting on the sofa. His face became very angry. "Lana, what are you doing here?" he shouted. He looked so different from his usual calm self. Lana stood up. "I came to see you, Jay, and to tell your wife the truth." Jay walked quickly to her. "Get out of my apartment, Lana, now," he said loudly. His voice was shaking with anger. Lana looked from Jay to me. She smiled again, a strange, sad smile this time. Then she turned and walked to the door. She looked back one last time before she left. The door closed behind her. Silence filled the room. I didn't move. Jay turned to me. He looked tired and upset. "You don't understand anything, Blossom," he said quietly. I looked at him and finally found my voice. "Then tell me, Jay, tell me the truth." He looked away for a moment, then back at me. He sat down slowly. "Lana," he began, she used me. She wasn't a good person." His voice was low now. "My parents, they knew about us. They didn't like her. They wanted me to forget her." He paused, taking a deep breath. That's why they forced me to marry you, Blossom, to make me forget Lana. It was not about love. It was about stopping me from being with her." My mind tried to understand his words. My marriage, my life now, it was all because of another woman. Because his parents wanted him to forget her. It was a shock. My chest felt tight. I looked at Jay, seeing a different kind of pain in his eyes now. The truth was hard, much harder than I thought. 7. A change. After the woman, Lana, left, the air in the apartment was heavy. I gave Jay space. I didn't ask him questions. I didn't talk much. He also stayed quiet for a few days. It was like before, but different. The big secret was out now. I knew why he married me. I knew about his past pain. Slowly, things started to change. Jay began to talk more, not about big things at first, just small things. He would ask about my day at the bakery. He watched me sometimes when I was in the kitchen. He saw me bake bread and make cakes. One evening, I made tea, and he sat down and drank it with me. Before, he never did this. He just went to his room or worked. These little things were new. They felt strange, but not bad. The cold walls between us started to get smaller. He was not just the silent, serious man from the wedding. I started to see parts of a different person. Maybe the person he was before his past problems. One night, he looked at me for a long time. He said, "You are strong, Blossom." His voice was soft. When things were bad, you didn't cry all the time. You didn't just sit and wait. You found work. You lived. His words surprised me. He saw that. He saw my fight. He told me I was resilient. This means strong inside, able to be happy again after hard times. I didn't say anything back. His words were kind, but my heart still felt the hurt from before. The hotel, the secrets, the feeling of being a replacement. That pain was still there, like a stone in my stomach. But even with the hurt, I could see him changing. He was trying in his own quiet way. The stranger I married was slowly becoming someone I could maybe understand. We were still far apart in many ways, but the journey across the space between us had started. 8. A new start. Many months passed. The city seasons changed from cold winter to warm summer, and then back again. Something else changed too. It was the feeling in our apartment. The silence was not so heavy now. Jay started coming home earlier in the evening. He did not stay late at his office every night. Sometimes he brought small things with him. Once, it was a book he thought I might like. Another time, it was a bunch of colorful flowers. He put them in water for me. We began to talk more. At first, the conversations were short, about my work at the bakery or about his day. But slowly, the talks became longer and more personal. He told me things about his past, about his family and the difficulties he had. He told me about his secrets, the ones he kept inside for a long time. I listened, and I started to share my own stories with him. I told him about my life in my town, about my childhood, and my dreams before I came to the city. We sat together on the sofa sometimes, just talking. We were not the strangers who stood at the wedding ceremony. We were not the two people who lived in the same apartment but felt miles apart. Now, we were two people who were learning about each other. We were finding a connection that was real. It was not the connection of a perfect love story from a book. Our beginning was difficult and full of hurt. We did not choose each other. Our families made this choice for us. We started as a husband and a wife who did not know each other and did not feel love. But now, after everything that happened, we were trying to build something new. We were like two broken pieces learning how to fit together. It was a different kind of love, maybe. One that was built slowly, day by day, from understanding and shared moments. We were learning to hold hands, not in a fairy tale, but in the real, sometimes difficult, fire of life. This was not the start we wanted, but it was a new start we were building together.